I'd like to say shalom, brothers and sisters. I'd like to first start off by giving all praises to the Most High in the name of His Son, our anointed Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna do a lesson entitled "The Hispanics, the Native Indians, they are Israelites according to the Scriptures." The Bible prophesies about these things. Okay, I'm gonna start off reading in a book called "The History of the Indies of New Spain." Page 3. In order to provide a truthful and reliable account of the origin of these Indian nations, an origin so doubtful and obscure, we would need some divine revelation or assistance to reveal this origin to us and help us understand it. However, lacking that revelation, we can only speculate and conjecture about these beginnings, basing ourselves on the evidence provided by these people. So the author is saying that he's trying to find out the origin of the Indian nations, and is saying he needs divine revelation. And it's saying, but however, lacking that revelation, because the guy that wrote the book is Spanish. He's a Spanish conquistador, or more priest, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Fray Diego Duran. But the thing is that he's telling you they lack the revelations. But then they goes on to say, basing ourselves on the evidence provided by these people. So that's what they're doing. They're basing their evidence on, they're basing the book on the evidence of the people, the evidence that they saw, what they saw. Because so when it says evident, that means there's facts now, because they see these things. Let's read on. It says, basing ourselves on the evidence provided by these people, whose strange ways, conduct, and lowly actions are so like those of the Hebrews, thus we can almost positively affirm that they are Jews and Hebrews. And I would not commit a great error if I were to state this as fact. Considering their way of life, their ceremonies, their rites and superstitions, their omens and hypocrisies, so akin to the characteristic of those of the Jews, in no way do they seem to differ. The Holy Scriptures bear witness to this, and from them we draw proofs and reasons for holding this opinion to be true. So the author is saying he's among the Indians, and he says he can almost positively affirm that they are Jews and Hebrews. He goes on to say he would not commit a great error if he was to state this fact, considering their way of life, their customs, ceremonies. So it says that so akin to the characteristics of the Jews, in no way do they seem to differ. So he's saying that they're so alike. The Jews, all their ways, their customs and everything is so much like the Jews, it says in no way do they differ. There's no difference in them, what he's saying. He goes on to say that the Holy Scriptures bear witness to this, and from them we draw proofs and reasons for holding this opinion to be true. So he's saying that from the evidence he saw with these people, and you can read it in the Bible, that's all he's saying, the Bible backs it up, tell you that it's true. And he said that the Holy Scriptures bear witness to this, and I'm going to prove it, brothers and sisters. We're going to go in the Holy Scriptures now and begin to prove it. Let's start in Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So Moses is telling the children of Israel that if we don't obey God's laws, if we break them, if we don't observe to do all his commandments, that the curses was going to come upon us and overtake us. So we're going to eventually get into the curses and read them and prove them with history, with the things that happened to the Indians. Because we're going to deal with the evidence that he said, the evidence of these people. Okay, so, but Moses, who was Moses talking to? Let's read it. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 1. Let's see who Moses was talking to. Deuteronomy 1, verse 1. These be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel. So Moses is speaking to the 12 tribes, all Israel, it says. He's speaking to the 12 tribes of Israel. So, with that, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 14. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before the Lord our God, and also with him that is not here with us this day. So Moses is saying that this covenant, this oath, which is dealing with the curses also, the laws, statutes, commandments, he's saying the people that's here with him that day, he said, not only you that I make this covenant with, it's with the ones that's not here, the children that wasn't born yet, which is us, brothers and sisters. Let's get another account on that. Psalms chapter 78. Psalms chapter 78, verse 5. For he established a testimony in Jacob, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children. And so that's what we're dealing with in Deuteronomy 29, verse 15, 14 and 15. Now let's read Psalm 78, verse 6. That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children. Verse 7. That they might set their hope in God, and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments. So Psalms is saying that we ought to say God established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, and commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born. So that's us, brothers and sisters. Verse 7 says that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments. And that's what we need to get out this lesson that I'm doing. I'm doing this lesson to prove that we are Israelites. But the end of it is we have to keep the commandments. That's the end of it. In the faith of Christ. Remember, Christ is the end of the law for righteousness, meaning that he's the aim, he's the goal of the law for righteousness. If you want to be righteous, you have to keep these laws in the faith of Christ. Okay, from there, let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So Moses is telling the children of Israel, this be back in the curses. He's telling them one of the curses, saying the Lord will scatter you among all people from the one end of the earth, even unto the other. And it says, and there you shall serve other gods, which your fathers didn't know, about wood and stone. Okay, we're going to deal with the wood part. Okay, let's see, did this happen? We're going to go now and get an account out of a book. It's called Enchantment of the World, El Salvador. And we go on to page 27. On the heels of the conquistadors came the religious orders. They established churches and monasteries to convert the Indians, teaching them Christian ideals and the Spanish language. Many converted to Catholicism because the alternative was death. So it says, on the heels of the conquistadors there came the religious orders. So there were religious orders. They came from Spain, from Portugal. That's what it's telling you. Say on the heels of conquistadors, it came religious orders. Let's read on. It says, they established churches and monasteries to convert the Indians, convert them to Christianity. Let's read on. Teaching them Christian ideals and the Spanish language. Why is that? Because they didn't speak Spanish, brothers and sisters. But the orders was to teach them the Spanish language and Christian ideals. Goes on to say, many converted to Catholicism because the alternative was death. Okay, now let's get it out the Bible. From there, we're going to go into the Apocrypha. I'm going to First Maccabees. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. That's religious orders. Verse 42. And that everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. That's religious orders. There's everyone to, because what they did, they came and taught them Christian ideals and the Spanish language, that everyone should follow the king's laws. Verse 43, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. That's why we're not keeping the Sabbath no more, brothers and sisters. Because when these orders came, many of the Israelites consented to it. What we really reading here in Maccabees is the Greek captivity. This is history. What happened in history happened also in history with the Indians. Verse 44, the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Isn't that what we just read, brothers and sisters? The same account in the book, that he sent letters to these other places that they should follow the same laws to the land. Verse 50, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So, brothers and sisters, that's exactly what we read in the book of El Salvador. Says, on the heels of the conquistadors came the religious orders, teaching them Christian ideals in the Spanish language. Many converted to Catholicism because the alternative was death. That's what Maccabees just stated, brothers and sisters, the same thing. That whosoever would not do according to the king's commandment, he said he should die. So, brothers, this is history.